welcome back. So I have decided that what I'm going to do for the counseling sessions is I'm actually going to show how I am applying this to my life instead of interviewing other people, because it's a little complicated to get schedules lined up and everything. So this way I can just record. And so I'm just going to use examples where I'm trying to learn how to apply this to my own life. Okay, so one of the last times that I remember getting angry, I wanted to get the house clean without being interrupted. And really, another thing is I always want to, once it's clean, I want it to stay clean. And I will sometimes get very irritated and talk rudely and harshly with the people in my family if it starts to get messy faster than I would like. So what I then will do is I harm relationships, right? So without realizing it, I have trained myself through years of doing this since I was probably a very young girl. I have trained myself to think that if I raise my voice or I get irritated, or that the kids' actions will change and they'll be better next time. But that it does not work. What actually happens is damages the relationship that I have with the people in my house. So what I need to do is have a different attitude. What I want, I might not get it. So I have made plans without God in mind at all. I need to change that to asking God, Lord, I would like to get the house clean and I'd really like for it to stay clean, but help me to get that done and help me to get it done with a good attitude. And then I need to remind myself that the people in my house are more important. And yes, I do need to, tell them and instruct them on what they need to do. I'm not saying we don't need to instruct and that there's not discipline, but it doesn't need to be in anger. So I need to replace the idea of I'm going to do it and I'm going to get it right now. And I'm going to mistreat anyone in my path with being rude. Okay, so then the other thing I need to replace is the lie. The lie that I have is that anger works. I think it works. And I need to remember that it cannot work because James 1:20 says it cannot produce the righteousness of God. And because it's a sin, it creates little bits of separation in all of our relationships. When we sin and when we do things, it causes some form of separation. So it actually hurts instead of working. So I need to replace my mindset. So the next time, here's helpful hints, the next time that I start to feel the heat rising or the frustration rising, instead I need to remind myself and I say little quick things to remember, like so-and-so is more important than my house. So-and-so is more important than that it stays clean. So-and-so is more important than maybe what other people think when they come over. Because sometimes, let's face it, if people are coming over, I'm really wanting it to stay clean because there's people coming over and I have to let go of that and remember that it's more important. My relationship with that child or person in my house is more important than what people think about my house. And I need to say that outright. So I need to keep that in order. Okay. So that's the two things we need to change. We need to change our mindset and we need to let go of the fact that we have to have it and instead remind ourselves, I might not get it. And that's okay. I'm going to do what's right, even if I don't get it. So that's another thing. That's the second thing. I might not get it, and that's okay. And pray for help. Pray that God will help you to have a right attitude first, and maybe that the house will get clean if we can, and work at it, trying to get it done. But if it doesn't, or it doesn't stay as long as we'd like, we're not going to use anger to sin because it doesn't work. Okay, hopefully that helps to show you one practical application. I am now going to record a different reason why sometimes we use anger to sin, and see if I can help you to apply it in a much different situation. Okay, so what we're going to discuss now is, what about when the thing that you want is a good thing, and it's even a biblically good thing, a justice, and you're seeing injustice happen, and you're in a situation where you know that someone is being mistreated, and you're tempted to just lose your temper over that. Like, is it justified then? Will it work? Of course, we've already learned it doesn't work. It can't work. So then what can we do? Are we supposed to sit around and do nothing? And what can we do? So number one, I would say pray, because we learned that in James 4, to pray and ask God to intervene, but praying with the right motives, like, Lord, your will, you know everything, and I need your help. Then we need to let go of the things that are not under our control and the people that we can't control. Because there are times, especially where authorities are going to do things that are unjust to another person, and we're watching, or maybe they're doing wrong things to us. And that's really difficult to watch. Now, sometimes, of course, we can call their authorities, or we can get other authorities involved. But sometimes, what about when that extreme measure is not quite appropriate? And so, well, I don't, it's not to the point where I would call authorities, it's not like they're a criminal. They're just doing something that's just not just. And what do I do about it? And how do I not be angry? And so I'm going to try to help with that situation. Let's turn to Proverbs 31. And I'm going to read verses 8 and 9. Speak up for those who have no voice, for the justice of all who are dispossessed. Speak up, judge righteously, and defend the cause of the oppressed and the needy. So obviously, this is something that God wants us to do. He wants us to defend people if it's in our power. And there are certainly other proverbs and other verses throughout the Bible that talk about this. If it's in our control, that is what we should do. Exactly that. But what about when it's not in our control? All we can do is speak up for them. That's what it says right there. Speak up for them. So that's Proverbs 31, 8 and 9. So you need to think about this and do it with wisdom, not with anger, because anger doesn't work, remember? So sometimes when you approach someone and you petition someone who's in authority, or in authority over someone else, they might really sound mad in the beginning, but they come around in the end and they might change their mind. And so the closest chance that you have of influencing another person for change is by being a good example, which is not losing your temper, right? Because it won't work. You'll lose respect in the long run. So think about it, pray about it. And if you're in a position where you can speak up, speak up. Absolutely. And maybe get counsel on how to do that before you go do that, and really think it through. Do it very respectfully, not condescendingly. Okay. So if it is in your power to make change, make change. Okay. Now, the other thing I thought of as an example is, what about when John the Baptist was on the earth, and when Jesus was still on the earth, had not gone to the cross yet, and John the Baptist got in prison and then beheaded, and Jesus did not stop it. Another thing he didn't stop is Judas was actually stealing from the money bag the whole time. Judas was one of the disciples, and before he betrayed Jesus, he was a thief. He was stealing from the money bag, and Jesus didn't do anything about it yet. And so there are times we can see examples of when there are absolute injustices and sins going on, and it's not that God is not going to take care of it. It's that there's something else we don't know about. Wait for it. In some cases, maybe he's trying to save a certain person. In some cases, maybe he's trying to teach someone something else, or he's doing something else. Remember, Judas was going to be used to betray Jesus. And that's one of the things he was going to do, right? Be betrayed into the hands of the people that wanted to kill him. And that was part of the plan, was that Jesus was going to go to the cross. And so there was a bigger plan that other people didn't know about. So remember that you're praying, and you go, if you can speak up for the person, but let go of the things you can't control and say, Lord, I know you're watching, and I trust that God is a just God. Everything's being watched. Remember, his eye is on even the tiniest sparrow. He definitely knows that situation. So trust him and let go of it. Once you've spoken up and done all that you can do, let go of it. Don't speak up with anger. It won't work. Speak up, and hopefully over time the person will change and justice will happen. But as to why God doesn't just, kill people on the spot, well, if he did that every time someone sinned, we'd all be dead. We've discussed that before in previous lessons. So don't count God's grace and mercy on people as slackness. That's not what it is. He just knows more. He has he knows the whole picture. He knows what they're working on in their life. And he knows the time of their judgment, and he knows how much they need. He knows all of this, right? So leave it to him. He's all good, all loving, all knowing all the time. So then just leave it at him and know when to just let go and trust him. Okay, I hope that's helpful. All right, looking forward to seeing you guys again next week.